Hey, good morning or good afternoon, everyone, depending on where you're at, I guess. Folks are still starting to roll in here, so we'll just give them about one more minute to get started, and we'll get going. So thanks everyone for being here, and we'll get started in just a moment here. All right, good morning, everyone. It's just a little after 10 local time here, so I know we're covering a lot of time zones. So good morning, good afternoon, depending on where you're at, and welcome to the Q4 Ticket Webinar, October 26, 2022. And we are ready to get started. There are some folks still popping in, but we're going to get going. So we've got a lot of really exciting stuff to cover here today, and a few folks from the Ticket team here will be talking to you. But yeah, let's just get started, shall we? So let's go ahead and meet who we'll be hearing from today. So we've got actually a handful of folks from the Ticket team across multiple departments, but mainly we've got Adam Dezaki, our product manager, and we've got Justin Workman from our support team, and myself. I'm the onboarding specialist. Some of you have heard from me in our demos, or maybe a support call, or maybe a sales call. So I'm kind of all over the place, and fitting enough, I will kind of be filling that role here today in our webinar. So let's dive right in, shall we? There we go. There's some names for you. Okay. So today, some of the things we'll be talking about. So we've got, as I mentioned, we've got several folks here from the Ticket team. And what's really unique, I think, about our team is that, and I've got it written here, that it kind of takes a village, and I think a lot of our customers would agree that, they end up getting to know most of the folks on our team, whether it's someone from the product development team or someone from support or sales, or myself, from a demo or from, whatever that may be. And I think that's really important to touch on, and for us to be so accessible to all of our customers and potential customers, like many of you here today. So today we'll be covering some new features, some stuff that many of us, and myself and maybe some of my teammates may not have even seen yet. We'll be talking about a little bit of support. So Justin will jump in at that time and cover some things that he's been hearing a lot of, or very frequently anyways. And Adam's going to give us a little demo on some things that are upcoming, and it will even maybe be teasing a little bit of the new pricing model. We also will have time for Q&A at the end, so those of you who are coming with questions or having thoughts along the way of maybe some things you're curious about or would like to know more about, please feel free to send those questions our way, and we'll get those called out and handled here on the call. Important to know, and we'll talk more about Q&A here in a second, but important to note that you can ask anonymously or ask us to keep it anonymous. And lastly here, the elephant in the room for our customers, or for those of you who have maybe trialed recently, I think we've really made a huge improvement here lately on performance, and namely the web applications and things like that. So I think it's important, though, to call that out, that many of you were kind of anxiously awaiting some of the coming soon features that were advertised in the Microsoft 365 tier, and some of those features got delayed. And I think it's important to note that we really were all hands on deck in making sure that Ticket was as stable and performed up to our standards. So those features, though, that were coming soon are no longer coming soon. So if that was something you're waiting on and maybe you're unaware of, a lot of those features that you may have been waiting on are now out in the wild there. So we're really excited to talk about some of that stuff today and some things that are upcoming. So moving right along here, as I mentioned, we will have time for Q&A at the end, so please feel free to ask any questions that may come up. And as I said, if you would like to remain anonymous, please make note of that when we will not be sharing your information if that's the case. And we do have, like I said, many of our team members here. So depending on what the question is, we'll be dishing those questions out and hopefully getting all of those answered for you here today. But again, please do feel free to ask us any questions that may come up. And so where are we? Where have we been? What's next? What's coming up? And what is going on with Tikit, and how are we kind of continuing to evolve but still maintain a very wide open sandbox for all of your team's ticketing needs? So as I mentioned, a lot of those coming soon features that were on the website, multi-department surveys, approvals, and a few others there. They're all out there. They're all ready for you to go and check out. Again, they are in our M365 service desk here, our premium tier. But definitely, if you have not trialed, or if that's a tier that you are a part of and you haven't had a chance to get hands-on with those, they are out there and ready for you to check out and start implementing into your ticketing process. Another important item that I definitely wanted to talk about today is our roadmap. So many of you, through the trial or through the process of getting to know Tikit, have encountered either from myself or from one of our support engineers, or even directly from Adam, our product development manager, the interactive roadmap. So we have roadmap.tikit.ai, and a lot of our features that you have a chance to go and use today are a direct result of customers asking for it or saying, hey, this would be really great. Tikit looks awesome, but we really might want this, or this. Well, a lot of those things are implemented and available today because of the requests directly from customers. So what will you add to the roadmap? So if you haven't had a chance to check that out, please do go check out the roadmap, upvote some things, add some ideas, some feature requests, whatever. And speaking of features and some of the things that have been implemented recently, and it sounds like there might be more on the way. So I'm actually going to tag in our product manager, Adam Dazaki here, and he's going to tell us about some things that are coming up.
That sounds great. Thanks, Alex.
You got
Let
it.
me take control here real quick. Let's move on to the next slide. So I want to talk about what's next and cover up a little bit on, or cover up on some of what Alex just went over. So as far as like what's next, and it's kind of in this order right now. We do have certainly some bug fixes and some performance releases, more performance releases that we want to get out. But as far as like what's on kind of like, the immediate, horizon here, is we're looking at adding support for email attachments. So this has been a request from people that have found themselves using the email connector more so than they found themselves possibly using Teams. And as a result, that's kind of where this request came from. But again, it is another request that came directly from our roadmap and from our customers and those trialing right now who have asked for this functionality. So this will be coming. The second thing that's also going to be coming up is custom views. And custom views is something that, once again, from our roadmap has emerged as a need in terms of if you're in web.tikit.ai, which we call Fluent. If you're in Fluent, and you're looking at the My Work view and you're applying some filters, you may want to save those filters. You may want to build your own custom view of sorts. You may want to build several custom views to be able to edit, save, go back to them at whim. But more importantly, you then may want to take those custom views that you build and publish them directly into Teams. And so that way that you could consume Tikit's web app, its web UI inside of Teams without having to go to the browser and without having to manage that in two separate windows. Again, staying all completely central inside of the Teams experience. So custom views will be coming, and again, allow analysts, agents the ability to create their own views, their own layouts, choose columns, remove columns, save those views, publish those views, and consume them how you so choose. And then the other thing that's coming up that, again, I cannot emphasize this enough. It's another one that came from the roadmap. It's another one that came from our customers and that we heard directly from you, which was the need to have multiple assignees and in some cases have multiple requesters. depending on what ticket system you're maybe used to working with, or maybe you've worked with in the past, this is maybe a bit of a new, if not potentially foreign concept, because most ticketing solutions typically would say there's only one assignee and one submitter, or only one requester. And what we'll be doing is we'll be bringing the opportunity to have multiple agents, multiple assignees on a ticket, and also have multiple users, requesters, affected users on a ticket. And so you can imagine that now there's going to be a brand new way to communicate with larger groups of people over wider ranging issues. But also something that we're going to be bringing with this, because it's also been another indirect ask, is while the merge functionality has become very popular inside of Tikit, one of the things you can't do with merge right now is you can't merge tickets from two different users. And with affected users and collaborators, that is going to be changing, so that we will allow you to merge tickets across different requesters, across different agents into single tickets. And again, then mass communicate to all parties involved. Still while respecting everything that you're used to in Tikit today, even in that one-on-one experience. So as far as what's after that, or rather, I guess, what have we kind of recently done? I want to touch on some of like our more recent releases, like Alex was going over. First and foremost, again, if you're noticing a theme here of it came from the roadmap, please go to the roadmap. If you have an idea, if you see someone else's idea and you really like it, comment on it, vote on it. We're always hovering over there. In fact, after this webinar, I'm definitely going over there, because one, I suspect people are probably going to throw some ideas and test this theory out. But two, I know I actually have some follow-ups, because there's actually been some really interesting ideas that have come up recently that I wouldn't mind getting a little bit more feedback on. But that aside, first thing is first. The thing that came from the roadmap was we wanted the ability to have kind of a deeper like keyword trigger, a deeper phrase trigger within the knowledge base, right? It's great that I can talk to Tikit Virtual Agent, and it'll give me something even though it's not exactly what I typed in. But wouldn't it be great if there was a way to have kind of like more metadata and more keywords around the things that I was using? And so again, per this roadmap request, we have delivered on that through synonyms. And so if you've been using the knowledge base, or maybe you haven't noticed this tab, what synonyms do are allow you to improve the quality of the entire knowledge base without having to retrain anything. So this is really useful, because let's say it's not just you entering information into the knowledge base. And in fact, it's probably more likely than not that it's you and maybe a couple of your peers. And more likely than not, you and your peers probably enter information just a little bit differently. And so with synonyms now, there is a way to improve the overall quality of the knowledge base, regardless of who entered it, and still deliver quality results, whether it be a knowledge base article or deflecting into a template. So synonyms are available. They are there. Again, thank you for raising this on the roadmap, because that's how this got into the product. The other noteworthy features that came up were also earlier this year, a couple months ago, our Power Automate connector was finally certified by Microsoft. So if you're not using Power Automate, or you've been wondering or waiting, when will this thing arrive? The Power Automate connector for Tikit is now available inside of Power Automate. You can go navigate over there. You will find the Tikit connector, and it has a wealth of opportunity for you to integrate into a host of Microsoft and even non-Microsoft services, all through a low-code, no-code interface. So if you're looking to do even more with automations, you can integrate with a host of different solutions inside of Power Automate using the Power Automate Tikit connector. The other thing that also came up, and this was like, I would say, probably one of the larger features. Well, I mean, I suppose it depends if, you know, Power Automate, multi-department, but in any case, as Alex said, one of the things that has been first and foremost on basically the entire team's mind, and everything that we've been working on so far this year has been performance. And we've wanted to make sure that Tikit remains performant while we still continue to deliver innovative features. And one of those innovative and arguably really big features was going to be multi-department. Multi-department is now live, which allows you to deploy a ticket to any number of teams within inside your organization. And so this means now, up until now, Tikit has probably only been deployed, and actually has been deployed, only to a single team in your organization, the IT department. But with multi-department, you can now deploy Tikit to multiple teams. So you could say, I want to deploy it to IT, HR, accounting, facilities. Any team in your organization can now start managing tickets. And best of all the permissions are respected across those teams. So the other thing that was also paramount here is that if you deploy Tikit to the HR team, HR should not be able to see IT tickets, and IT should not be able to see HR tickets. And again, this scales no matter how many number of teams you have. And last but not least, a feature that came out very recently, within the last week or so here, is approvals. So now you have a way to track, log, and document who said if something was okay or if someone rejected something. So if you have a ticket coming in for, let's say, a laptop request, you can now actually get an official sign-off from maybe that person's manager or some other relevant stakeholder. But again, you could do this all inside of Fluent and also inside of Teams. So wherever you work, however you choose to work, you could still get approvals. So the thing I want to get to next is a demo. I actually want to go over a couple things that I just touched on here, and I want to just show you how this all works. So give me 1 second. I'm going to share my screen out. And okay. All right. And let me move this over here. Okay. So probably from bouncing back and forth between Diego and Adele. So my end user, my requester, is here in my team's light theme, and Diego's over here in my team's dark theme. And Adele's got a few things that she needs. First thing is, like, I need to get a laptop. So let's submit that off. And also, I forgot, I need to take some, actually, yeah, just take some PTO. Got a lot of requests today. Low end and oh, what's the reason? This one out of warranty, which is real fast. Oh yeah, time off request. I need to take off, let's say from here to there. Just taking a quick vacation. Great, submit. And again, all through Tikit Virtual Agent, I'm going to submit both of these requests. I'm going to get both of those ticket confirmations back. And the best part is that as the end user, as a member of the business interacting with what appears to be IT, is in fact no longer just IT. I still have the sole single Tikit Virtual Agent that I'm going to speak to, that again, I could brand, I could change the icon on, I could change to meet my organizational needs. I still have this one channel that I come into to create all of my work, to get all of my requests, and also to receive all of my updates. In fact, looks like I've already made a comment on that, but we'll get to that in a second, because it's not just the fact that I type quickly. So let's actually go over to Diego. And so again, Diego is our analyst. And for the sake of this demo, just hopefully you could bear with me. I've made Diego a part of my IT support team and my HR team. And if you look closely, you'll no doubt notice that our level 2 channel has lit up, because that's where our new laptop requests come into. You can see there's Adele's answers to the questions of, like, yep, she wanted this Lenovo. Previous one was out of warranty. But the other thing you'll notice, though, because again, don't forget, she submitted a time off request. That time off request is not here, but it is in the new HR team. and then it is in the time off channel for the HR team. And we can see that, yep, she wants to take some PTO. It's assigned to HR. It's part of this group. Here's the answers to some of those questions. And again, there's a comment that I left. There's a comment that I typed. And in fact, I did it just now. I did it exactly a minute ago. But it begs the question, how did I pull this off if I didn't type it? And I do want to add, I did not use Tikit's automations to do this. Because the other thing you'll notice is that I said, sure thing, Adele, right? I addressed her by name, right? I had some context and some dynamic nature to this. Well, what happened in truth is that I was actually using the Tikit Power Automate connector. And I have created a flow that says anytime a ticket is created that is of the template time off request, I want to add a comment to a ticket. And what ticket ID is it going to be? Well, it's going to be the ID that came out of this when the ticket was created, right? So again, totally dynamic. The comment that I'm going to leave, the message that I'm going to leave is sure thing. And then you'll notice I have requester first name. We'll let you know by end of day. And yes, the comment is public. And because I did it on my account, I did it through my personal account on 365, this comment comes across as myself. And because I left a comment, Tikit takes advantage of that, and it is delivered through Tikit Virtual Agent and Tikit as well. I could see all of this happening, even though I came in through Power Automate. Now, the Power Automate angle of this is cool. It's super interesting. But there's a couple other things going on here because, well, there's a couple teams, there's probably some templates. And so I want to dive into those really quickly. First of which is the template. I built a simple template here that just says, here's my time off request. I have a start date, see start date, end date, the reason. Here's my template settings where I've said, you know, anytime a ticket is created of this template, it's going to be active. The category is going to be availability. And now you'll notice because we have multi-department, I can now choose and assign to a team. And in this case, the team I'm going to assign to is human resources. It's going to go to a specific group within human resources. And I've even set the ticket type as request. The second thing here is how would I configure this team? Well, over in Teams, this is where I can now add any number of teams that I currently have within my organization. I can set their respective triage channel, and they can begin using Tikit to manage their requests immediately. And again, all while respecting Teams permissions, right? IT can't see HR, HR can't see IT. The only way that it can happen is actually in my example here. Diego is a part of multiple teams. So that's really the only way that you can move across and back and forth to see ticket information across teams. So I think I got everything I need to get out of my system. There may be some questions that come up as a result of this, but if not, I would say, Justin, I think it's your turn. I'm going to turn this over to you, and I'll stop sharing.
Hello.
Hey there, and then I think you're gonna have to go pull up the PowerPoint really quickly again.
Oh yeah. Second, there we go. Should be coming up now. And all right, here we go.
Yep. Sounds good.
Hello, I am Justin. I have been with Cyerson for a while. I am a support engineer, primarily focused on Tikit right now. I've probably talked, if you are a customer, there's a fair chance that we've spoken, whether on the phone or via email. I'm in front of a lot of different things right now in regards to support. So one of the things we wanted to do today is cover one of the most frequently asked questions. And one of the most frequently asked questions we get in regards to new customers is, can I create a ticket with an email? And with the email connector, the answer is absolutely yes. you can create an email. I mean, you can create a ticket right from an email, and user, sends an email to the configured address, which we call the email connector, and then it generates a ticket. But after I answer that question, yes, it inevitably leads to another question, which is, do I have to use a licensed user for that email connection? And the answer there is not necessarily. So I do want to share the configuration of the email connector. So I'm going to share my screen here. Okay. All right, so you can see I'm here in Tikit. And I'm going to configure the email box. Now, like I said, we don't have to actually use a licensed user. And I wanted to show here, I actually use both of these users. Sometimes I switch back and forth, but as you can see, Ticket Help is a 365 licensed user, and then Help is just actually a shared mailbox. And the only caveat to using the shared mailbox is that you actually have to reset the password for a shared mailbox. It's not really clear from Microsoft's documentation that that's even possible. In fact, I think a lot of people I talked to didn't even realize that was an option, but you can absolutely create a password on a shared mailbox. You just find them in your 365 admin center. You can come in here and reset their password. And now their password is good to go. And so I'm going to come in here back to Ticket, and I'm going to configure that mailbox, which once again, I'm using my shared mailbox from 365, which is help at my domain. It's going to want me to submit that password that I just set. Great. And so the next step I'm going to do here is I'm going to log back in as my user that I was using with Ticket, which is my admin account. Should sign me right in, no problem. Perfect. And so now you see I have that help, which is once again, just, showing again, it's unlicensed. You don't have to have a licensed user to use the email connector. That mailbox is now wired up. I can, alter the text that comes in when a user emails in a ticket. This is the reply that they're going to get from the email connector, which I'm going to demonstrate here in just a minute. One more thing that I wanted to highlight really quick, I'm probably not going to go into the demo here on this, but what you can do with these actionable messages is it will actually send a card, an actionable card, similar to what you see in the Ticket Virtual Agent when you have a template with a form. And people can actually submit comments right from the email. They don't have to reply. They don't have to go back to Teams. They don't have to do anything else. They can actually submit a comment and interact with the ticket right from within their email message. So if you haven't checked that out, there's a link right here in the documentation on the email connector page. So definitely check that out. Right, so the next thing I want to do is, as my end user, she's signed in over here to Outlook. I'm now going to email that email connector. That's my shared mailbox once again. I'm going to say something is on fire. Help. I'm going to send that in. I'm going to switch back to Ticket. And I'm going to go to Ticket. We should see that come in pretty fast. And also another thing that we'll see pretty quickly is that she'll get a reply with that standard verbiage. Just waiting for Ticket to load, give it a quick refresh. There we go. Something is on fire. Kathy Young is the user that I'm logged in over here. You can see the pictures kind of match. And then here, shortly, there it comes. She's got that standard. We've received a request. We will reply shortly. And so now as an analyst, I can come in here. I can look at the ticket. And because she emailed it in, she's going to get notifications via email. She will have gotten a notification via Tikit Virtual Agent as well. But I'll show that here. I should have had this open. This is my virtual agent. It's customized for my domain. I'm going to go in here and just make a quick. Nope, not that one. No. Here's her ticket. If I come in here as an analyst, this is me, not her, and I say, "Hi, Kathy." Not only will she get the notification in the virtual agent, which I'm going to show as soon as it loads here. It's having to load all of her history. That's why it's taken so long, because I didn't have this Teams window open. But once that ticket or that comment gets processed on her ticket, it's going to show up not only here, but also in the virtual agent and in her email. She has a lot of tickets. She's really needy. So here you go. You can see she received the notification about the ticket. There's me saying, "Hi, Kathy." That came through virtual agent, but also I expect it will be coming into her email as well. Not seeing that. Sometimes Outlook is weird about the way it organizes things. But if I were to resolve this ticket now, she'll also get a notification about that, like I said, in both email and in the virtual agent. Wait on that to come through, which should be pretty quick. There's her email. Just took a minute. It's actually saying the same thing every time. I could have something configured wrong there. But yeah, she gets a notification when something changes. And here we see in the virtual agent that, yeah, she gets a notification when the ticket is resolved. So I'm going to stop sharing my screen. I go back to sharing the deck. Oh yeah. Wait. So here is our next slide. We want to know what you guys want to see. So that was just a really quick demo based on, like I said, one of the most frequently asked questions, which is, how do I configure the email connector? Can I create a ticket based on an email? Which once again, the answer is absolutely yes. But we want to know what would you like to see in future webinars or maybe potentially other meetings of this nature. Do you want to see more about the knowledge base configuration? Like Adam mentioned synonyms, entering knowledge base articles, that kind of thing. We'd, happy to do something around that. Or I get a lot of questions about ticket properties, the difference between status, type, category, tags, etc. Is that something you want to see more of? Or reporting in Tikit. There's several options. There's the out-of-box reporting option, as well as you can connect to Power BI and Excel. So, or another solution. So if there's an item that you guys want to see, we want to know, what that is that you want to see. We'd be happy to put some content together around that. I'm going to go ahead and vote myself.
Forgive me for not voting. I didn't want to, taint the results.
No worries. All right. Last thing from me, if you guys have any support questions, like I said, I've spoken to a lot of our customers already. Happy to, dig into any topic, not, covered here, not covered here, either way. If you go to help.tikit.ai, all of our documentation is there, and at the bottom of every page there's a form that you can submit that'll generate a ticket. We'd be happy to respond to that ticket and see what we can help you with, or you can email us directly at help@tikit.ai. Once again, we're happy to answer any kind of questions that come up for you guys. You need help with a feature, you want to know when something's coming, those kind of questions, anything that you have, we're happy to help any way we can. We want to help folks be successful with Tikit. So with that, I will turn it back to Alex.
Yeah, thank you, Justin. That was good stuff there, and definitely something that as far as speaking to the email connector and being able to see that, that is definitely a question that I see, and I feel like I'm kicking it over to you on that particular topic fairly often. So yeah, so we have covered this and this. So we are nearing the end here. Adam and Justin both did an excellent job. Get my camera back on there. Both did an excellent job covering a lot of things there. And I think a couple of things are really important to highlight on what we've talked about and what you just saw from Adam and Justin. Low code, no code. Adam said that earlier, and it really stuck out to me because that's personally, it's not something that, that's not really something that's in my skill set either. So being able to configure a lot of these things and set up the email connector and set up automations and play with Power Automate. And I say play because it really is a wide open sandbox for sure. So seeing that I am on the nearing the end here of our deck, and I guess we're still seeing just slide 1 here. So not sure what's going on there, but I will continue kind of recapping here. But as I was mentioning with some of the new features and some of the things that you can do, it doesn't really involve a whole lot of under the hood or really technical prowess. There are a lot of things that are drag and drop and plug and play with a lot of these new features that we're adding. And one of the things that I like to talk us or to mention or to bring up when I talk about Tikit or when I'm showing Tikit off to a potential new customer, or really anybody, is that this Teams ticketing sandbox that is Tikit just keeps getting bigger, and we just keep adding more toys to the sandbox. So I hope a lot of these things are maybe you've heard of them or you were waiting for them, and seeing them in action inspires you to go out and get these things added to your processes. So so on top of all the things we covered as far as new features and new or old features that have been improved, or things like the email connector that is not just sending an email to an inbox and getting a ticket, but also a lot of the bells and whistles of the Tikit virtual agent and being able to then interact with the ticket as an analyst in the web UI, the web application. There's just so many things that I think we see folks interacting with on a surface level, but there's more to it. And if that's something that you need help or guidance doubling down on or drilling down into and really getting the most out of those features, that's what we're here for. So not only do we have a wide range of titles here from the Tikit team on the call, but we're also pretty accessible. I think that's something that we're really proud of, is how accessible we are, and being there for you to help you configure or help you understand or even implement something that you've built or created within Tikit, of course. So we are here for you to take care of that. As Justin mentioned, a couple different ways to get a hold of us. Many of you may have already have our direct email addresses, so we are accessible. We're here and we're happy to help. So last thing that I want to cover here before we set aside some time for all three of us to kind of maybe tackle some questions here, is that we have changed our licensing model. So if you've been on our website in the past couple of weeks, this was a decision that was made not super recently, but definitely something that we've been looking at implementing and getting set up, and something that we're really proud to have in place now to make Tikit really, and for most folks, more accessible. So if that's something that you're interested in knowing more about, that's definitely a conversation we'd like to have with you one-on-one. So please feel free to reach out and see, what's there for you, and if there's a way for you to lock in, the best price possible for you. So team@tikit.ai, but again, many of you have our email addresses, so please feel free to reach out directly if there's anything on your mind as far as the new pricing model goes, or just to double down on any of the new features or any of the configuration of those features. We're here for you, so please feel free to reach out. And last but not least, here we do have some time for QA. I'm not sure, I haven't looked quite yet if any questions have been coming in, but we'll definitely hang this slide up here, and we do have some time here for folks to submit some questions. So I will kind of hang tight here for a moment and see if we have any questions coming in, and we'll get those taken care of. Justin and Adam are both standing by as well, so if you have any questions or thoughts about what you've seen or maybe something you didn't see, please feel free to throw a question into our Q&A feature here.
I'd say there's one I've already committed to further answering that I published, which was what does moving a ticket between multiple departments look like? So I'm just going to steal the screen here for a second to show everybody.
Absolutely.
So like I said in the chat, you would go to modify, and this just becomes another field that you can edit, right? So I would just pick the other team. It would just get moved out of this, just like how it gets moved out of a group, and it gets moved over to that team. And that's it. Actually, that's all it takes.
That's awesome. Thanks, Adam.
Yep. Let me go back to the PowerPoint for now.
Yeah.
Oops. Bad.
Awesome. So as we are kind of wrapping up here, and thanks for that, Adam, as well. And I do have the deck back up here as well. So
that's cool.
Speaking of features and speaking of some of the things that we've talked about here today, and for those of you who may have trialed, or maybe you are a customer currently and you're thinking, wait a second, I don't see that, or I don't have access to that, or you said it's out there and it's live, but I haven't had a chance to see it, or even how do I access it? So we do have 2 tiers, so that's something to keep in mind for any of you who may have been around for a little while and came on board when we just had the 1 tier of Teams ticketing. These newer features have been implemented into the M365 tier. So that is our premium tier. That is a tier that's maybe aligned with a little more, more mature processes, or folks that just really want, to add on to their processes with those things like approvals and SLAs and multi-department and some of those other items we talked about today. So again, if that's something you're interested in, or if you're like, hey, that is the tier that I'm signed up for, that is the tier that I pay for, reach out to us and let's see, we can kind of guide you to those, or maybe there's some permissions that need to be accepted as far as, quote unquote, unlocking those features. So if that is something that you're, top of mind there, you're like, hey, I would like to see this, but how? Let's make sure you're aligned with that, and you're on the right tier to access those things. And if so, how do we get to those, and how do we get you up and running with those? So please feel free to reach out on any of those items, and we'll definitely get you set up for success there as well. So another one coming in here, looks like this one may be for Adam. Talking about deflection scores, so talking about TVA's, again, quote unquote, confidence. So
Sure.
How do folks know if their deflection score needs to be adjusted, or if there's maybe just something there that needs to give TVA a little more, confidence on what to answer with?
Yeah, I just saw that one. So if there are articles that you have created that are, for example, almost word for word, right, and they are not hitting, it's worth lowering your knowledge score. I mean, like I'm talking like you have the exact same sentence and it's like, why is this not registering? It's worth lowering your confidence score. However, it's important to reemphasize that this is where it pays off to make use of the synonyms feature, because with synonyms, you don't have to lower your confidence threshold significantly. And the reason is because while you could be entering knowledge one way, like I said, your peers could be entering it another. And that's why with synonyms, it means that not only can you improve your entire knowledge base, but you can also continue to kind of lean into your org specific verbiage so that Tikit can best adapt to you and your organization. So, I'd say it's one of those things where it's like, you could start probably with fairly low confidence and slowly kind of start ratcheting it up, and seeing how good the responses are, and then just kind of going from there. Now, I will say, actually, related to that, something that's another item that came up on the roadmap that we're in development on is returning multiple responses. And in doing so, that would mean that maybe Tikit Virtual Agent would return the top 3 most confident responses, or maybe that's the top 5 most confident responses. And those responses, as you could imagine, could be either a knowledge article or it could be a template, right? And so there'd be a way for a requester, someone speaking, an employee speaking with Tikit Virtual Agent, to kind of choose their own adventure, choose their own path to decide what they want to go down based on the responses it returned. But anyway, it's a very long way of saying synonyms. Start with a lower confidence, slowly ratchet it up, make use of synonyms, enter all the ways that you think someone could phrase those questions. And then certainly go from there. But if not, again, always feel free to reach out to us and support.
Awesome, thanks, Adam. And that you kind of touched on something that I see occasionally from interacting with customers, or when they are having questions about building out their KB there. When some entries are very similar, or there's some almost like 2 of the same entry, but maybe the one has just one different word. So it sounds like there's some relief on the way there for some kind of very similar entries there that maybe are a little too similar in verbiage, but with synonyms and some other items there as far as returning multiple answers, it sounds like there's some some potential relief there for sure. So all right, so looks like we did have a couple other questions come in, and I do have one really quickly for Justin as well. I like to make sure that everybody gets to play here. Justin, questions about automations versus Power Automate, and this is something that I do hear somewhat often, so it is cool to see it pop up here. When should you use automations versus Power Automate? So automations, of course, is like a feature or a setting that you see in Tikit right out of the box. And then Power Automate is what Adam demoed just a little bit ago. So Justin, if you wouldn't mind just quickly kind of speaking to that.
Right. One of the big things is, like Adam mentioned earlier, the dynamic nature of Power Automate. So when Power Automate gets triggered, you immediately get access to, especially if it's like a ticket was created, you immediately get access to all of the properties of that ticket, including, like Adam demonstrated, the requester first name, requester last name, requester email. If you wanted to send an email back to the user, to the requester with another, some more verbiage or whatever, you have access to their email, and you can do that with Power Automate, which you can do notifications in automation within Tikit as well, but you get just more access to properties and other options, right? Other actions that you can take on whether a ticket is being created or whatever the action is. There's just more more connectability there.
That's awesome. And with Power Automate too, we're plugging into other, other Power Automate applications too, right? Like, so
right, exactly.
Excel or Outlook or whatever connections they have available as far as actionable items or things that you can use as far as like a dynamic property. So, exactly. And Adam, it sounded like you may have wanted to.
I was going to say, it's like, you took the words right out of my mouth. I mean, and I was going to say, it's like, I view automations and Power Automate. It's I don't think it's a one or the other. It's a better together solution. It's you pick the right tool for the job, right? And Power Automate, kind of that strength is being able to plug into the rest of your Microsoft, investments and ecosystem in M365. Whether, like you said, is Excel or SharePoint or OneDrive or any other Azure constructs. I mean, like that, all of that functionality is there, including things that are even non-Microsoft pieces of technology, right? So if you're making use of like DocuSign or Adobe services, right? All those plugins are there, and you can wire up connectivity between those services and Tikit if you want to.
That's awesome. Okay, so moving right along, thank you both there for that. We did have a question that looks like it was answered directly, but just for the good of the crowd here, looking at new pricing, what defines an agent? So as Joel, our director of sales, answered here, any user who needs access or rights to work on resolve a ticket is considered an agent. So that is kind of a role or a permission that does get set up within tickets. So anyone who's going to be on the receiving end of those tickets and will be given the permission or the rights or role or whatever you want to call it to interact with and work on those tickets as an agent. And that will then define them as an agent as it relates to our new pricing model.
I gotta say, I gotta jump in because I saw another Power Automate one for, I built a really cool Power Automate flow. How do I tell other people about it? So Microsoft actually supports publishing your own templates into their gallery. So the first thing I'd say is go publish it, right? I mean, like that if you want to get the word out, go publish it. The second thing though is that if you want to get in touch with us, if you'd be interested in doing like a write-up or actually like touching base with us, I certainly would more than welcome that. So I'm sure we can make something happen. So just again, just get in touch with us.
Yeah, awesome. And there was a follow-up on the new pricing model question from the same asker there. So sorry I didn't catch that just a second ago. So looking at billing, I do not see an option to switch to the new pricing model. It is that new. So there's still a couple of things that we need to add on our payment processing side. So within settings, that is something that is coming very soon where you'll be able to go in and set the number of agents. And of course, that will actually kind of be, I assume that will be something that will be automated based on the number of agents or number of folks that you give agent rights. But if you are interested in the new pricing model, please contact us. That is something that we can currently right now today set up for you and get you the right number there. So it is, like I said, it is that new that it's still you're going to encounter some of the old pricing models still in a couple of places. That is incorrect. You can disregard that, and please do reach out to us directly so we can get that set up for you. Yeah, so if there are any further questions on pricing model or whatever, we can get those tackled. But again, reach out to us. We'll get it set up. It's ready to go today on our end. There's just a couple of spots where you're going to see it looking like the old model. So, and I think there may have been, oh, excuse me. I went through all of that and didn't even team@tikit.ai. So again, team@tikit.ai. If you're an existing customer or if you've trialed and you have my or any of our email addresses, those are fine too. But team@tikit.ai is the best and quickest way to get a hold of us there. So we can get that billing, the pricing model set up for you correctly. So it'll be reflected within your billing there. And let's see here. We do have a few more questions popping in here. So there are a couple questions on the email connector, and there's a couple questions on moving tickets around. So Justin, Adam, I will kind of step back here a second and let you guys tackle a couple of things here because it looks like there's a couple that come in for you guys.
Justin, you want to go first?
Sure. So one of the questions was about the email connector having an issue. We did have an issue whereby Microsoft changed the way something works on the back end that we use to plug into their email functionality. We did make some changes in the product to mitigate that change from them. If you're still having issues with the email connector, my advice would be to disconnect the email connector one more time, reconnect it again. That should fix it. If it doesn't, definitely let us know. We want to get that, get that sorted for you. But I believe, if you're, like I said, if you're still having kind of the issue after the fix, which was, I think it came out about the same time as reviews, maybe even before that, I don't recall exactly. approval, sorry. If you're still having that issue, try disconnecting the email connector one more time, reconnect. If it's still an issue, definitely let us know. We want to get that sorted for you.
Cool. And then I'll take the last one. It looks like my camera finally kicked on there. There's a question around feature timelines, and so while respecting someone's privacy here, would you mind just asking a question that just includes your email address, and then I can follow up with you, because I'll gladly do so. And looks like another one. Yeah, so like I said, there's a question about feature timelines. Again, ask a question, just include your email address in with it. I'll follow up with you. It was around when a specific feature is going to be updated, so please do that. I'll reach out. But also be sure to check registration as well if I don't hear anything back here shortly. Okay, what we got next over here?
Is there, I believe I saw one about moving tickets between multiple departments. Is that something that you can at least discuss maybe really quickly?
The one from Kyle, correct? I want to say that was the first one I touched on.
Oh, did you? Okay, I may have been looking ahead. Nah, that's my bad. I was reading ahead. I apologize. We did have quite the intake of questions there.
Yeah, well, one that just came in for small issues and bugs. Is this something we want to add to the roadmap or create a support ticket for? For example, the reporting option influence does not display all the analyst names or information. So first and foremost, please submit a support ticket. Like, the best way to get in touch for us to be able to like repro an issue and then possibly get a fix in for it is contacting support. We understand people do choose to raise bugs and some of their like small nuances on the roadmap. I want to be clear, we do see them, but just be aware that like we're not on the lookout for bugs there. So please, if you're having an issue with anything in Tikit, please reach out to support. We certainly try to remain vigilant on the roadmap with respect to bugs, but certainly the big takeaway for the roadmap is like we're going there to evaluate features and engage with people and customers who have ideas about what to do with tickets. So just a heads up there. Also, we only got a couple minutes left, so if there's any other questions, please get them in. Otherwise, we'll be sure to follow up with you. Alex, I'll turn it back over to you.
Yeah.
This is your show, so I'll give it back.
Supposedly, Adam and Justin, you guys may have stolen the show though today with your demos and covering a lot of things that were hot topics. So we covered on some of the things that have just been released and maybe some things that you're unaware of that are out there ready for you to go take advantage of, features, pricing model, and so on, and some really exciting things to come. So I believe we got to just about every question that came in, so I was really excited to see so many questions. Thank you for your time in submitting questions. Thanks for joining us here this morning. If there anything else that comes up, please, again, team@tikit.ai. Feel free to hit us up via email, send those questions over, chat on our website, whatever it is, feel free to reach out and we'll get you taken care of. But we are going to go ahead and wrap it up here this morning. Thanks everyone again for joining us. I hope this has been a really, informational and maybe even inspiring or motivating, webinar for you as we've shown off some of the things that Tikit can do. So once again, thank you all, and we'll go ahead and say goodbye here. And unless Adam or Justin have any last words from them, we'll go ahead and say goodbye and have a great rest of your week. And we hope to hear from all of you soon.
Thanks, everybody.
Yeah, thanks for coming. Until next time.
Indeed.